Alright, good morning world. It's 7:15 on Cinco de Mayo Day, May 5th, or my birthday, whichever. I had a beer last night. I actually forgot it was in my backpack. I'm like, oh wow, I have one beer left. I might as well drink it, so I did. Too much weight. It is very hazy down the hill. The wind is blowing from behind me towards China Lake, which means it's going to be a headwind going up the hill. Yeah. I got the toque on more for the wind. It's not really cold. It's 60 or something like that. So, whatever. Been up for a few minutes. Honestly, I didn't feel like crawling out of bed today. I'm like, this tire is flat. I was like, coming out of Ridgecrest, I hit the little nail. I said that last night. Okay, fine. Change the tire. Get it pumped up. Almost got the wheel back on. That one went flat also. So the tube that I thought was good wasn't any good. I'm running used tubes, so the last time I patched it didn't work. So sorry, wind. If I can hold it down here, maybe I can block the wind a little bit. Anyway, so I got two flat tubes, and then the third one is flat. I've still got a few more, but it's just seriously, I just came out of Walmart. I'm like, I bought spare tubes for the new trailer, and I had a bunch of tubes, so I just assumed they were good. I'll get over the hill and then get to the lake, and I think I'll camp at the lake, and then I can use water from the lake to check the tubes and find where all the leaks are and get them patched up. But I think by the time I get over to Bakersfield, I'll hit another Walmart, and I'm just going to buy some new tubes again and another patch kit. I'm running out of patches now. Yeah, how did that happen? Yeah. Thorns and nails, There are times when I was experimenting with the motorcycle tires and wheels for, I guess it was the Blue Bike electric trike. That was one of the concerns, is the spokes were much stronger on the motorcycle wheel, so I probably never would have broke one of those. And motorcycle tires are much thicker, so you don't typically get a lot of flats on the motorcycle. I did get a couple, but not nearly as many as I have on the bicycle, so it would be tempting. I'm running thorn-resistant tires, but a nail is still going to go through it, and I think what happens is you run over something with the front tire and it ends up standing it up, and then it just goes right into the back tire. The other option I'm looking at, there's some pretty cool electric cargo bikes, which is just a bike on steroids. It's all stronger and bigger. The one I saw, it's rated for 400 pounds of cargo. Now, I'm not sure if that was 400 pounds plus the rider, or the rider and another 200 pounds. That's maybe more like it. But everything about it is stronger. They have racks that you can put on them that are made to haul things. Some people are using them to move, just to take the kids to school. So you can put two child seats on the back of the bike. It's got a longer back. So you can just pick up the kid, put them on the bike, strap them into the car seat, and drive them to school, right? Which looks kind of cool. And with an electric motor, then you can be zipping along, and relatively safe and everything. I've seen some of those used on the Sun Trip, and so the extended back, you just put the solar panel right on the back, and then you could put your tent and camping gear and everything else on the back of the bike, and then not even have a trailer. Man, does that sound good, right? So that's something I'm thinking about. The first ones I saw were several $1,000s, and then I happened to find a company that had some for like $1,500, $1,600, which is a lot of money, but it's a lot less than the big name ones, I guess. And there isn't enough people in the U.S. that are going to buy one of those, so the price is never going to come down. Whereas over in Europe, they're using them commercially to move cargo in the cities, because a lot of the old cities have narrow streets, and so it makes more sense. You could set up a business just delivering from, like for instance, the last mile from a UPS or FedEx location out to a business. You could have a fleet of guys on bicycles that can move the cargo pretty fast, where you can't get the big truck in. That's kind of the idea. So yeah, for a sun trip kind of a race, some of the guys were using those kind of bikes and just no trailer at all. So, if you keep, it's like a motorcycle. My motorcycle weighed, I think, about 400 pounds, and as long as you don't lay it over very often, it's easy. You just put it on the stand, get off of it, no big deal. Yeah, you're not picking up the whole thing all the time, so you just park it. And so it's an option. That's why, on this trip, I took the old rusty bike. I didn't care. I just wanted to try it out. Some parts aren't working so good. Some parts are working fine. I like that it has suspension. That's kind of nice. If the one-wheel trailer hitch wouldn't have broke, I liked the trailer mostly. I had some problems, but I think I could have solved them. But that was until you really take it out in the wild. You can't really test it, So that's just part of the process. I like, Elon Musk and SpaceX, their idea of just fail faster. Just get out there and run it into the dirt and see what worked. You can sit there in the lab and put on your lab coat and read all the books, but maybe the books are wrong. And maybe what I'm doing doesn't fit what anybody else is doing. So conventional wisdom doesn't really work for me. So, yeah. So we'll just do our best and, muddle our way through it, I guess. So I guess plan for today, I'm going to put on one of the other spare tubes, and hopefully that one doesn't leak. And I've also got my pedal assist sensor finally quit working yesterday. It's been kind of intermittent. It might just be a bad wire somewhere. I was going to work on fixing it this morning, and then I realized I'm going to have a lot of wind here by 3 o'clock, but it's less windy over at Lake Isabella. So I can still use the throttle. The pedal assist sensor, it sees when the pedal is turning. There's a ring of magnets that go past the sensor, and so when you start pedaling, you pedal for about half a revolution, and then the motor says, oh, you're pedaling, I'll help. And so automatically, as long as you're pedaling, the motor will work, and when you stop pedaling, the motor stops, which is really intuitive. So when it's working, it's wonderful. So I want to get that fixed. It's just a matter of figuring out, is it a bad wire? I also put a switch on that system so I could turn it off if I didn't want it to come on. So maybe the switch itself is bad, but I put everything together, and then I just taped it all to the handlebars and stuff, so I have to undo everything. And so it just might just be a bad wire or bad connection. So I can solder and, splice it if I need to, so it's not a big deal. I just need to do it. I completely forgot about it when I was in the hotel, because it has been starting to give me problems for the last couple weeks, really. So if I would have thought about it, I had plenty of time. That would have been a good time to do it, but I completely forgot. Yeah, anyway. So I figure I'll do the tire today, get over the hill and set up camp, and then get there. I should be there in plenty of time, so I'll just find a good spot, and then I'll work on the pedal assist and see what's going on, and hopefully I can fix it easy, and then we'll be good to go until the next thing breaks. Yeah. I guess the last thing is, I do feel like I still have too much weight on the little trailer, and I've already gone through everything a few times, and it's just, I got to figure out what can I live without, you know. I don't know. It's going to cost, it's like, you know, tools are the heaviest thing. Tools are the thing I need the most because everything is breaking. So I can't just let go of the tools. And there's a lot of things I just can't do with the bicycle tools. So, and it's like, well, it's like the cost of replacing the tools is just about what it's going to cost to mail them home. So I might as well keep them, you know, and everything else isn't very heavy. You know, it's just a mess. Next year I'll have to do things different, but I'll have more time to figure it out. So, yeah. Well, it's about 8:30. I am not making a lot of progress here. I do get the tire back on the bike. I very carefully inspected, and I found a little tiny sliver of a wire in the tread. I couldn't even feel it from the inside, but when you got a load on it, maybe it was poking holes in the tube. I don't know. So I was able to pull that out. I don't know, I've had a few times where I put a tube on that I patched, and then I pump it up and I get to about 30 or 40 psi and you hear it just blow. So the patches aren't sticking as good as they used to. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Try harder, I guess, next time. But this one seems like it's holding, so now I got 3 flat tubes there. And then I was looking, I've got this one in a bag, and then I've got some more, and I'm thinking some of those are flats that I was going to fix, so I should have fixed them in the hotel room, and I just forgot. Yeah. I had so many things to do when I was in there, I just forgot to look at it. It's like that, I need running water so I can find the leaks. That's the thing, you know, and didn't take advantage of it. So anyway, I'm also trying to take advantage of just, okay, I'm already unpacked. I had to pull a lot of stuff off the trailer to get to other stuff that was on there. And I'm just like coming out of the hotel room yesterday, I was trying to get it out of the room by 11 o'clock. I checked out at 11:02. It was like, that was the best I could do, right? And I didn't really take time to organize things. The one thing I do like about this trailer with the side curtains, I don't know if it shows up even, but the sides are clear vinyl. They're not open, so that, you know, your kid can't reach out and stick his hand in the spokes or something, right? So that's kind of a nice feature, I guess. So I can stuff things in there and they'll probably not fall out. Whereas before, everything had to be in a backpack and zipped up so that it wouldn't get lost. Okay. So I'm kind of like looking at my stuff and I'm like, what can I put where it doesn't bother me as much, kind of thing. I spent so much time getting the last trailer optimized, and then this one I just have to completely start over again, and it's completely different. And then I have one less backpack, so now things are not segmented the same, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like change. This was working pretty good though. I've got the tire pump propping up the solar panel again on the offside, and since I had to, it's easier to change the tire if the trailer isn't connected, and it's fairly easy to disconnect this. On the other bike, it was hard enough to change that I didn't want to, or it was hard enough to disconnect that I tried not to. So this is a little bit easier. So I think this is progress. Even if this trailer doesn't survive, now that I've seen how they did the hitch, I think I'll try to do something like that. I think I'll do I'll make some changes, but I at least understand what they were doing. So I don't know if I would put the spring in there. We'll see. I'm kind of torn on that. All right, it's about 9:30. I'm not making record pace here, but I was trying to spend a little bit of time and sort the gear and organize things just a little bit better. And I'm not sure if I really accomplished that or not, but tweak things a little bit. That's going to be the game plan for the next week or two, probably, is just make little incremental improvements. All right,
I remembered I had apples, so they wouldn't last very long at her. So I ate one last night and two this morning for breakfast. And there's a pretty serious ant colony going on here, so I figured I'd give them some ants, or some apples for the ants. And what I thought was interesting, this was the first one from last night. They're digging underneath it. I've never really taken the time to watch this before. So I don't know if they're just digging underneath it to make it easier to access the bottom of it. But there's a crew that's digging underneath all of the cores now. So you got some guys that are getting the apple itself, and some guys are digging the hole. So I don't know if they're, because it's so, I dropped it really close to the anthill. So I don't know if their intention is to pull it down under, or if they're just digging to make it easier to get to the bottom. It's kind of interesting to see that. So if you guys have any ideas about this, I know you'll comment about something. You might as well make it interesting. I just wanted to add this little detail that I hadn't really mentioned last night. For whatever reason, this is a gravel road, but there's a concrete strip down the middle of it. And I'm not really sure why, but it might be part of a hydro, or what do we call it? Like an aqueduct or something. Because back where I was camped, I actually took advantage of that. I'm like, okay, I'll just set on the concrete. It made it a little nicer than trying to park the bike in the sand, right? And then looking up here, it looks like the concrete continues underneath that bridge there. So what kind of got me thinking about it is, I was told at one time that the China Lake used to be a lake, and then LA drained it for water, and then it never came back. I'm not sure how true that is, but seeing this now, it makes sense. Right? There is a couple other lakes up here, so if LA or somebody else, and I didn't get a shot of it, but there was a utilities sign back there, said something LA something water, right? Which I thought, well, that's kind of weird for it to be out here, but if that's part of the LA project, maybe there is an aqueduct under this piece of concrete. And then they just left the road, and then it's used for off-roading and stuff like that. And a truck drove by me this morning and had a sign, water and power. All right, I didn't see anything about where from, but yeah. So I know that Lake Isabella has a dam or dams on the west end. So I don't know if they're doing it for hydropower or if they're doing it for water, like for, city water kind of thing. I'm not sure, or irrigation for that matter. Yeah. Anyway, it's just kind of like random thing. Is like, okay, why would you have a gravel road and then put a concrete section down the middle? At first I was thinking it was an old highway, but it didn't make sense. Now I see it. I was like, well, maybe that's what it is. So just a random thing out in the desert. There's a lot of weird stuff out here, so kind of part of the territory. Okay, I've literally gone half a mile and I saw this sign off the side of the road, so I figured I'd get a shot of it. Okay, Ridgecrest is where we were. Motel was somewhere in here or something like that. In Ukiern we came through, that's where the second airport was. I came across 178, dropped down 14 a little bit, and then we're just off of 14 right there. Okay. And we'll go up and back down, and this here's Lake Isabella up here. Okay, so that's your landmarks. For anybody that's into skydiving, California City, and also Virgin Galactic originally was out of Mojave. Scaled Composites, Burt Rutten's company, is out of the Mojave airport. So that's a reference point for you. A lot of that kind of stuff happens out here in the desert. Yeah, so China Lake Naval Weapons Center is up here, and Edwards Air Force Base is down here, which is one of the places they used to land the space shuttle. So this whole area is pretty cool for that kind of stuff. Okay, a little bit about the snakes. That's a picture of a Mojave green. I've never seen one in real life, I don't think, unless some of the ones that I have seen out at my ranch, because is there is Mojave greens out there. So it's possible. Anyway, if the snake bites you, it'll be uncomfortable and then you'll die. Great. Get to a doctor as soon as possible, but most importantly, stay calm. Keep the bite below the heart. If hospital is more than 30 minutes away, some rules to follow. Dr. Sean Bush, a snake bite specialist at Loma Linda. Do not apply a tourniquet, don't cut the wound open, or try to suck out the venom. All the things you learn from TV are wrong. Don't take aspirin, ibuprofen, or other blood thinners, alcohol, or stimulants. Don't apply ice directly to the wound or try any other home remedies. Great. Yeah, so don't do anything you learned on TV. Anyway, just kind of look where you step in. Generally, you'll be fine. From the park ranger that I was talking to, the Mojave greens and a couple other varieties out here are territorial, and they are known to chase you, which is unusual. I've got more of a diamondback at my ranch, and they tend to try really hard to stay away from you unless you just accidentally step on one. Then they'll bite you, but they will be rattling and looking at you and hissing and moving away at the same time. So it's not likely that they will come after you unless they are territorial about the one spot you happen to be. But I haven't encountered that yet. But yeah, the markings on this look more like a diamondback than I realized, so it's hard to tell from the coloring of that picture. The ones that I do also have a stripe towards the tail, which is interesting, so maybe they're related. I mean, they're all rattlesnakes, but yeah, anyway. If any kind of snake is chasing me, I'm not going to spend a lot of time studying the colors on it. So, yeah, anyway, so this is BLM land. No maps. Okay. I hadn't seen any real signs on the one I pulled off on, so I thought it was worth at least checking this one out. So this is called the Jawbone subregion off Highway Route Supplement. And from what I saw from looking down towards Ridgecrest, I don't know if it'll show up or not, but there is definite roads going across the desert that this ties to. Because I had one guy last night just come flying by me, dust cloud and everything. I'm like, well, I'm on his road, so I'm not gonna, be upset. I was just in a spot where he wasn't gonna hit me, so that was good. And then he kind of went down, and then I could see a dust cloud going across the desert, so he was probably going all the way back into town from up here. So it's, it's kind of cool that we got access to some of this space. You got to strike a balance between having fun and enjoying getting outside and not completely destroying everything. So it's kind of cool that we had something like this here. Okay, we're up to about 3,900 feet. I got at least another 1,000 to go. I don't remember there being Joshua trees here. That's just kind of cool. There's a lot of them. Hills are big. I don't think this is as steep as the hill I was coming up out of Death Valley, so it should be okay. I'm just taking a couple stops so I don't wear myself out or burn out the motor or something like that, but I'm not pushing it near as hard as I have in the past, so I think we're okay. The more I think about it, I might set it up with both panels on top. I kind of looked at that when I first was setting this one up, and I'm like, I don't know, but I think it could work. Because if I slid this one all the way up until just behind the seat, that'd be almost a foot. So it would basically overlap, or the divide would be here at the axle. So I'd only stick out about 3 feet to the back. Yeah, look at this one. This one's huge. Yeah. don't have these where I live. So I don't know how often they actually bear fruit. This thing's loaded. And it's huge. I know some of the other trees I've got on my property don't bloom every year. It's like every other year, every third year. That's small apple size, like a big plum maybe, something like that. And the remnants of the bloom. That's breaking off. That's really cool. Yeah, because I don't, okay, there's a couple over there that have them, but the smaller ones don't. So maybe it has to grow bigger. Pretty neat. Well, we've climbed a lot already. I think I'm getting close to the top. Okay, we made it. It's about 4,900 feet. Okay, it's pretty windy, so I'm not going to read this. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Pretty big ones in here. It's been so long since I was here last, I don't really remember much of this. Probably I was going too fast back then. Anyway, it's about 1 o'clock. I came over Walker Pass at noon, like straight up. So 2.5 hours over the pass. Coming down, I think what happened is I slipped the tire on the wheel. I couldn't find the leak, but without a lot of water, but I might have tore the stem because the stem wasn't sticking really good straight. So another new tube, or another spare tube on there, so we're ready to roll now. 1 o'clock, so probably half an hour for the change. Once I got done changing, I'm like, oh, you know what, it's like kind of nice out here. Oh, there's a fireplace over there. Ancient ruins, probably a cabin that burned down. Pretty cool. Yeah, all right, now we can coast for a while again. All right, it's about 5 p.m. According to the GPS, I am in the lake of Lake Isabella. Obviously, there's been a drought. So unless we get a pretty significant rainstorm, I think I'm fine. But yeah, I was looking at the map and I'm like, okay, we go down this road. There's what they call dispersed camping. Apparently it's still free. I don't think there's even a camp toilet in the area. The sign when you came in said you should have a shovel. So I guess that's for digging your pit. Yeah. I have no shovel, but I've seen a stick. I can improvise. Or I could use my knife. We'll see how it goes. It's pretty sandy. It should be easy digging. Anyway. I was in pretty significant headwind a lot of the time after coming over the top of the pass. I went over at about 5,000 feet on Walker Pass. And one of the things I noticed is the side panel was starting to blow out and rub against the tire. Originally, the pipe was on the outside and the panel was inboard of the pipe, and the tire actually wore a pretty significant groove into the PVC pipe. Yeah, doesn't look like it's even really scuffed the tire. So I'm like, ew, that's not good, but okay. I realized all of a sudden, it's like, man, it's windy. I should take a look back and see how the panel is doing, you know. So I stopped, and there's a big old knot chewed out of the pipe. So fortunately, I didn't, you know, keep going and wipe out my only tire for that side. Yeah, I have no spare tires for that. Yeah. One of the things when I left the motel, the wheel that had been on the one-wheel trailer, the wheel itself was rusty. The sprocket set was the one that was all jacked up. And the tire had that really bad side wear on it, so I pulled the tube out and left the wheel and the tire at the dumpster. Oh, this was something, I don't remember if I said this or not, on the third video, the May 3rd. I put the, let me think, I put the one wheel trailer frame next to the dumpster, and I had talked to a guy earlier that was doing metal recycling. So he, by morning he came by and grabbed it, so I was like, okay. I felt kind of bad putting something that big in the dumpster, but I saw a guy that was picking stuff out of the dumpster, so it's not worth a lot, but at least somebody will get something out of it. So yeah, anyway, so rest in pieces. Anyway, so yeah, it's 5 o'clock now. I pulled the batteries down pretty hard. I think the new battery pack is doing well. It was just, I was pushing such a hard headwind, and I was trying to get here as soon as I could so I could park and start charging. I think I'm going to stay here tomorrow and then go out the next day. I just need a little bit of time to get things organized still. We'll see how it goes. I might also move to a different, because there's campsites all the way around the lake here. So I might look for another one. Maybe I'll spend some time on the phone and look for other options. I'm on the back side of the lake, which I usually used to go to when I was stationed up here, just because there was typically less touristy kind of people. You know, we could go out and have a fire and drink beer and, you know, be sailors and not really offend too many people. Okay, for reference, when I came out of Death Valley with the bike, with no trailer and no solar, I had to walk up probably at least a mile. I did it in stages, so I would, if it was too steep to ride, I would just walk. But I didn't have any electric assist then. But what I had found with I did a back-to-back test on the same section of hill, once with the trailer and batteries and solar, and once just with the bike. This is in Death Valley when I rode down to Stovepipe Wells. So I rode that section of the hill once with the trailer and once without, and it was nearly a wash. You know, so you got no extra weight, but you don't also have the assist, and so I was surprised at how close it really was. Okay. Hang on. I had a porcupine stuck in my sock. Let's try to keep that out of the sleeping bag. Anyway, so I came today over Walker Pass, which was about 5,000 feet. I think it's 5,000 foot elevation, but I was starting, I think, at 2,500 or 3,000 or something, so it wasn't that bad. Anyway, I made it over there. I stopped a few times and let the battery recharge a little bit and just, you know, let my heart rate slow down, you know, catch my breath a little bit, but I didn't really feel like I was pushing myself that hard coming up. I was just kind of taking it easy, and I made it over no problem. Just, you know, a few stops, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I have to get off and walk or throw up or something like that. So I get to the end of the lake, looking at the map, it'll be on the east end of the lake, and then you take the northern I'll put up a screenshot. There's, like, I think it's Kern River. So on the north, if this is probably going to look backwards on the screen, but so if this way is north and if this way is east, which I think is backwards on the screen, so sorry. So from Ridgecrest at the very beginning of the lake, you go on the north side, then there's going to be a river, and then you come down around the lake, and then it meets, there's a dam on the west end, or two dams, I think. Okay, so I'm on the north side of the lake. Now that I realize that there's a bunch of hills, I might just backtrack and stay on the south side, because ultimately I'm not here to explore, I'm up here to rest and then take off and keep going. So I don't need to go looking for more hills. I don't remember what the other side looks like either. I do know that there's going to be a pretty good climb coming out of here, going over the top towards Bakersfield and then down the other side. So there's no sense me going and finding more hills on this side if the other side looks easier. When I decided to come on this side, it was only a few miles further. But if it's a bunch of up and down, you know, I didn't mind riding if, 10 extra miles, not a big deal. But now that I see the hill, I kind of remember that there was a bunch of hills on this side. Mainly because when they built the road, the lake was right up to the hills. Well, now the lake is super low. Yeah, this is weird. I don't know how long ago this was underwater, but the trees are growing pretty good, so it must go up and down periodically. But they have been in a serious drought, and if you remember seeing some of the pictures of Lake Powell and Lake Mead and some of those other ones. So I'm going to probably just wait until tomorrow and do a little walk around or scout and see how far the lake is from here. Because I was thinking I was going to walk down to the lake and patch all my tubes for the tires. I think I'm on the last tube now. So I need to find water so I can bubble check the tubes to see where the leaks are and at least fix the best ones. And then probably when I get to Bakersfield, I'll find another Walmart and just buy a few new tubes and then throw the old ones away as they spring a leak. I mean, you can keep patching, but at some point the tube is just tired. So, and you get tired of looking at it. If I can find, this is the one thing. When I was at the bike shop, they had the super thorn resistant tubes there, and I forgot to buy one because by the time the wheel came in, I was so excited I just jumped down and go. I wasn't looking to buy any upsells. I was just like, get me out of here. I want to get on the road. And that would have been the perfect chance to go buy a really good premium tube that would get less flats. I mean, they're still going to go flat, but less often. Anyway, so I don't think I'm going to get enough sun tonight to get much of a charge, but we'll see. Yeah. So I did stop a couple times just before I got to here. Is it Paul's Way, Paul's General Merchandise, something like that. Just before the road turns to come up to here, there was a little general store back off the road a little bit. I just happened to see it on Google Maps, and then there was a little sign that pointed that said store. It's not very visible from the road. So if you're up in this way, look for that. I mean, nothing fancy, but it had good stock of, drinks, and I got the bottle, I got a gallon of water. Since I knew I was going to be short on water pretty soon, and I hadn't seen, I think what I was realizing is this campsite was going to be before any parts of the town. The town is mostly on the other end of Lake Isabella. There is other towns up here. But I hadn't really seen any little mini marts coming in. I think I did go past one, I didn't realize it until after. So I'm like, oh, there's a store, I should go stock up. So I got 2 Snickers and ate them on the spot. I walked in there, after pushing that headwind for the last 10 miles, my eyes were just frazzled. I walked in, I had to ask the guy where the Cokes were, I couldn't see. I'm like, I stood in front of the beer cooler for a while. I'm like, no, I don't want beer yet. I want a Coke or something. So finally figured out where that was and grabbed a couple Snickers and a gallon of water, and I'm like, okay, we got plenty of Cliff Bars for now, so we're good there. And I should be able to make Bakersfield on the Cliff Bars I have, I think. I think it's about 70 miles now to Bakersfield. It might be even less than that. Something like that. So what I might do is because I can camp all along the lake. There's little campsites everywhere like this that are free. And then going out the other way, I think there was also along the river or something. I remember seeing campsites or just places to pull off. So I don't have to make Bakersfield in one day kind of thing. Probably get a motel in Bakersfield. It's kind of a crossroads. So not like it's a touristy destination, but it should be a good spot for truck stops and stuff like that there. And there's got to be a Walmart there by now, I would think. So anyway, feels good to be off the bike. This was a day I was pulling 5 to 10 amps or more, just trying to go level and straight. You know, it was like, you know, where normally you should be able to pedal, it was just like, no, it was like I was going up a hill constantly just against the headwind. And then once in a while you go around a corner and you get out of the wind, and then you could coast down the hill and you come around the other side of the hill and run right into it like a brick wall. I had a couple of hills coming down that normally I would have had to use a lot of brakes, and I just sort of kind of sat up tall in the seat, and I had enough airflow hitting me that it was slowing me down, so I didn't need to use the brakes. So that's pretty serious wind. Yeah. Next few days are supposed to be less hot, from what it looked like down into the 30s overnight and 70s or 60s in the day instead of 90s. So that'll be nice, as long as the wind isn't howling. Yeah, it was like 25 to 30 mile an hour winds forecast in Ridgecrest. It was supposed to be less here, so it'll be interesting to see what tomorrow looks like. That's why I tried so hard to get into the tree line here. There was a few campsites that were more exposed, and I'm like, I just really want to get next to a tree in case the wind blows all night. It blew last night. It wasn't cold, but you'd wake up and the wind was constantly fluttering the sleeping bag and stuff. That just gets annoying. I remember I woke up cranky, just all the wind. It bugs me after a while. But anyway, survived another day. It was honestly, Walker Pass didn't seem as bad as I thought it could have been, and a lot of it, I mean, I've still got all the weight, but I think the bigger batteries helped. Yeah, it worked out pretty good, so that was a nice relief. So I'm getting a better feel for what I can do on the bike. Trailer. I wish it had taller tires. They would roll easier. If I get into sand, those things just dig in like plows. I'm trying to push the bike out, and I'm pushing, and because now the hitch is down low, I realize that as I'm pushing forward on the handlebars, the back wheel of the bike is coming completely off the ground, and the trailer's just digging in. It's like a donkey or something like that. It's not going. So taller tires would help there. It's just one of those things. I think as I tweak the design a little bit, it'll be okay. It doesn't really seem like the wind bounces the trailer around as much. I don't feel like it's trying to push me over, which is nice. That's part of having two wheels instead of one. With the one-wheel trailer, if I got a side wind, I felt it trying to tip the bike over. And this, I don't feel it. You know, it's still possible that maybe the trailer would tip over, but because of the way the hitch is, it might not even knock me off the bike. It would be pretty uncomfortable though. So just kind of a data point. Because of where the axle is, I put a few of the heavy things in the very back. So it's counterbalanced pretty good, so there isn't very much weight on the hitch. So that's working out really well, I think. I do feel it kick side to side sometimes, and that spring is just a little bit weird. If it gets like a tug, and then it snaps back. See, you feel that, you know, but instead of it being a hard jolt when you hit a rock, it's like a half a second later it goes the opposite way. A little oscillation kind of thing. So it's probably less awful than if it was solid. It just takes a little getting used to. It feels kind of weird. I have dropped the wheel off the pavement a few times, just on the low side, and I mean, they're kind of wide tires, so it's not too bad. You know, sometimes you get a 6-inch drop off, and if it's really bad, then you just stop and then, you know, kind of pull it on gently so you don't smack it on there. But I think it's okay. I wish it was just a little bit stronger feeling, but I might try to copy the design for the next one. So we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, I think that's it for now. As always, thanks for all your support. I see some comments that came in. It's good hearing from everybody. So, yeah, coming to you from apparently in the lake at Lake Isabella, California. See you guys next time. Bye for now.